Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Patch 1107 is finally live, bringing with it a brand new zone of the Siren Isle, filled with so many different collectibles for you to obtain, from new transmogs to some of the new pets, as well as new mounts that you can obtain from the Isle itself. And one of the more unique mounts has been data mined a while ago, but finally has been implemented into the game, is Thrayir, the Stormcrow mount, which you can actually go and obtain right now. It is one of the harder mounts to get if you're going to be doing it solo, and it's recommended to do it in groups. Just make it a little bit easier because you do have to delve into one of the more difficult versions of the Siren Isle that is surrounded by storms, filled with so many different elites and enemies that do make it a little bit more of a challenge, and that does take a little bit of a grind to collect all of the keys to obtain your mount. But in today's video, I do want to go over how you can obtain this mount yourselves and how to grind out all of the rune keys needed in order to be able to claim this mount and add it to your collections. As always, if you guys want to see more guides for the War Within expansion, like patch 1107, but also future updates like 11.1, hopefully hitting PTR very, very soon, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. Before we dive into the details of exactly how you go about obtaining the mount, first of all, where is it even located? Because you actually have to find it in game, specifically in the Siren Isle. First of all, the mount is located in the crypts down below. When you first head into the Forgotten Vaults, there is going to be the very first room on your left, the first room that you can actually access, and inside will be the mount. However, to obtain the mount, you first need to be able to obtain and unlock the 5 keys around the mount, guarding it, in order to be able to finally claim it for yourselves. The mount can also only be obtained inside of storms, and you'll first need to complete the weekly Fill the Bar quest, or daily, I'm not exactly sure because it functions very differently on the PTR, but you first need to complete the Fill the Bar for the Siren Isle before you can access the storms, which is like an alternate version of a more deadly version of the Siren Isle. So the way to fill the bar for Legacy of the Vrykul, right, at least that's what's available as of this week, is you have to slay enemies inside of the Siren Isle, but also complete a variety of different objectives, looting treasures, slaying elites, participating in excavations. Just about anything you do helps you fill that bar. And once that bar is filled, that is when you could finally delve into the storms itself, which is where you'll find all of the rune keys necessary to lay your claim on this new mount. Also, as you delve into the storms, it is a very good idea to group up with other players, as the storms are going to be a lot more challenging than the natural baseline version of the Siren Isle, especially if you don't have a character that's fully mythic geared out from this season's content. And if you are going to be running this solo for one reason or another, I would recommend doing some kind of like a delve build or a build focused on big survivability, especially if you're going to be trying to tackle any of these challenges solo by yourself. Once you fill up the bar, you can actually access the storms anytime you want to. You can leave the storms or head back into the storms as much as you like. And while inside of the storms, you'll be assisted by the goblins with their goblin tech in order to get you a little bit extra of an upper hand against some of the more challenging foes and elites inside of the storms. Out of all this equipment, the mines are going to be the best for pure DPS and are great for group content. You essentially send out a mine, and after a little bit of time, it explodes with shrapnel, putting a massive bleed on the enemy target. This one is much better in groups or on a geared character because the mines don't actually get aggro and they take a while before they explode, which means that you'll take some damage before they go boom. However, Ricket's Special Delivery is a better choice if you're going to be playing out solo because it does a decent bit of damage, but it also stuns enemies when it impacts them, which makes it a little bit easier for you to kite them out, or if you're just looking to play safe or have a backup plan where you can just vanish and escape targets, this one is a little bit easier as a solo player. However, if you go a little bit further inland away from the shore, around the Storm Tide Dregs area, you also have a Bolt Wrench Broiler. This is a fantastic weapon if you have a character that has no gear whatsoever, but you still want to join into groups and do some of the storms, as it does a lot of frontal damage all for you, not a lot of gear really required. And this one will be the best choice because it essentially replaces your entire rotation. But if you have a very undergeared character but want to deal the most amount of damage, then Bolt Wrench Broiler might be one of your better weapons here. These weapons do last for a little bit of time, some between 60 minutes or 30 minutes, so you may have to come back to them to refresh the buff of the weapons, and when you die, you do lose the equipment, so try not to die while out on the island. And now that you made it inside of the storms, you'll need to collect 5 rune keys, 2 of which are a guarantee while the other 3 have a little bit more RNG behind them. The 2 guaranteed Runekeys are going to be 1, the Whirling Runekey, which you get from Thrayir, the Forgotten Rare, found inside of the Forgotten Vaults during a storm, and you'll find them furthest all the way deep down and below into the vaults near the big crystal that radiates with lightning. Now, the Whirling Runekey is a guaranteed drop from their rare specifically, and it's one of the handful of guarantees that you could work on while on the Isle. Another one is going to be a Turbulent Runekey, where you have to gather 3 turbulent fragments and combine them into a key. The first fragment can be found near the drain excavation inside of a cave next to a Kultiran ghost. The second one is inside of a spirit-scarred cave near a ghost stone dig site. Inside of the cave, you'll find another Kultiran ghost holding the fragment in their hands. And a third one will be found right outside of the Salt and Shanty Abandoned Tavern. And outside of the tavern will be a little garden, and there you'll find another Kultiran ghost trying to bury one of the fragments, and you'll be able to find the fragment you're looking for in the dirt next to the Kultiran with a shovel. Then you combine all the fragments together to create the Turbulent Runekey. Now, the rest of the rune keys are very RNG and will take a little bit of grinding in order to obtain. The first one of which being the Torrential Runekey, where you have to gather 7 torrential fragments and combine them together to create a Torrential Runekey. The torrential fragments drop from any of the mobs around the Siren Isle, but only during a storm. This includes rares, this includes any of the elites, this includes non-elite enemies, and it seems like all enemies in the island have fairly similar chance or fairly even chance in order to be able to drop a torrential fragment, although I did notice I was getting a little bit luckier on those fragments when killing rares, but not regularly. But the best place to farm out these torrential fragments, which will still take you a little bit of time, is Jetsam Drift, found right outside of the main Forgotten Vaults, where all you have to do is slay brine-bound wraiths, which are really easy. In fact, they even cast a haste buff on themselves that hurts them, so there's a good chance that they'll be actually taking themselves out for you instead. But you can farm them as well as the Cavaldeer in a group. They respawn fairly regular next to each other, and if you have a group together with a couple players that are running the Goblin Mines, those can deal a ton of AoE damage. It'll take you a little bit of time to farm them out, but you can also run around the Isle killing other rares and focusing on all the objectives while still collecting torrential fragments. But if you wanted a farm spot, then Jetsam Drift will be the best one. Thunderous Runekey is another one that's going to take you a little bit of time to collect. You got to collect 5 Thunderous fragments from treasure chests around the storm. And it can't be just any treasure chest, it gotta be secret treasure chests that are actually hidden in the mist. So the way you know that you're near a treasure chest is you'll see winds around your character, with the winds kind of guiding you towards the treasure chest. Once you get close enough, you can use an extra action button in order to reveal the chest, and inside of it, there is a small chance for you to be able to find a fragment, a Thunderous fragment, for your key. It is, like all the other grindy ones, a small tiny chance for you to be able to obtain it, but once you have 5 from the treasures all over the Isle while inside of a storm, then you can combine them together to create a Thunderous Runekey. This one for me did not take nearly as long, but for a friend of mine that I was doing this whole mount grind with, for them it took them a little bit longer than usual. So this one seems to be one of the grindier ones, and I think I might have just gotten a little bit lucky with the chest myself, but this one could definitely take a little bit of time from what I've been able to observe from other players reporting on the Thunderous Runekey. Now, the last rune key I think is probably the most grindy one, at least I had really bad with this one in particular, and that is the Cyclonic Runekey. To get the Cyclonic Runekey, you have to slay Zekul, the Shipbreaker rare found in Deadfin Mire. However, the rare does not have a guaranteed chance to drop the Cyclonic Runekey. Instead, it's actually a very low drop rate. So the best way to obtain it and the fastest way is to sit where the rare spawns and then swap from LFG group to group. Look at either for Zekul or Zek in the search bar, or potentially Shipbreaker, because some groups will title it or name it different things, but usually I found my groups under Zek, and basically join groups for Zekul and then slay him again and again and again until you eventually get your Cyclonic Runekey. For me, I had the worst luck with this one in particular, and it seems like a lot of other players also had the longest time getting this Runekey specifically, so this one might be the most grindy one for you to check in on. But what's also good about killing Zekul is Zekul themselves also has a chance to drop torrential fragments, and you can keep killing Zekul every single time and the rare will continue to drop your rewards, with what felt like the rare drop in torrential fragments at about 20% of the time every time I killed him, which was pretty decent odds, honestly. But once you get all of these rune keys together, you could then head back to where you found the mount down in the vaults and then unlock all of these keys in order to claim your mount. However, you don't have to get all these keys done at once. If you wanted to get, let's say, part of the grind done one day, part of the grind done the next day, or maybe do the whole grind over a period of a week, if you don't have that much time to really commit into grinding them out in a single sitting, you can actually do so, because once you open up a key, it will stay open for that character. So if you want to do this grind all in a single sitting or over a period of a handful of days, you could do so easily. Which I think is one of the best parts about getting this mount, is the fact you don't have to do it all in one single go. And when you get the mount, it actually has a bit of unique qualities. Besides the unique model of the Stormcrow, which was data mined a long time ago, it also does have some other unique sounds and elements, like when you summon the mount, or when you use the mount's special ability, or when you're actually skywriting on the mount as well. And it also has a very unique thundering aura all around it that kind of travels behind the mount as well, which I think only adds on to some of the more unique elements of this mount in particular, outside of the main grindy process of how we all obtained it in the first place. As always though, I do want to thank all of you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys did enjoy this little guide update. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give this video a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community for more guides for the patch 1107, but also future updates like 11.1, which should hopefully be hitting PTR very soon. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.